Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for reaching out to Legalese Marketing. What I have here in this video is we're going to walk through Lawmatics from that 10,000 foot perspective. And this way we'll be able to show you a lot of the functionality that Lawmatics offers. Before I get into it, just to let you know, I have no financial stake in Lawmatics. I did not create the program. I'm not getting paid for this video or anything along those lines. We've just found that it's a overwhelmingly helpful program for our clients, and Lawmatics helps them close cases, which makes us look better as a marketing company. So we put this video together to kind of walk you through Lawmatics pretty quickly and give you an idea of the tip of the iceberg of what it does. So what we're looking at right here is the main page. This is pretty close to what it looks like when you first get into Lawmatics before you build anything out. You've got all the stuff across the top that it'll do, the emails, the notes, the forms, etc. You've got your calendar for the day, any tasks that are due that day, your different marketing channels, your different intake pipeline stages. And then this is a pretty good spot over here. So you have the overall value of your pipeline. You've got the overall conversion rate. You've got your overall cost per client, cost per matter, total spend, and you can track those. Now, obviously, here we're using basically a skeleton account. We're going to enter in some from the law firm accounts, but we want to do it in a manner where you don't see any client information. So this obviously will get more filled out automatically as your firm continues to use it. The cool thing I like is right here from the main page, you can see what cases you've closed over any sort of time block by sources and also overall conversion rates. And I'll show you this in more detail later with one actually filled out so you can get a better feel for what data is going to get collected in here. The other thing I like is you'll have requires attention and newest matters over here, so I can't drop those down because we've got some information in there still, but those are normally expanded, and so you can go through the main page and get a nice overview of where the firm's sitting at any given time. So the first thing I want to focus on is the custom forms. So it's easy to create a form in Lawmatics. Basically, everything you're seeing here is drag and drop. You can get whatever data you need, and then you can also tell it what to do off the end of that form. So this is an internal matter form. So this can only be used by people logged into the system, and it will create a matter at the end of filling out this form. The reasoning for that is basically this is the initial intake form that my office for my law firm walks clients through when they're starting out. So you can see we've got all the normal information at the top. Anything with that little asterisk next to it, those are going to be required fields to submit the form. So we have to have their first name, their last name, their phone, their email, their address. Obviously, the system's not going to check that those things are correct. It's just going to check that something's there. So somebody could give you 123 Fake Street or something along those lines, but it would still have to have some field entered in there, whereas birth date, social security number, driver's license, nothing has to be filled out in there. If it is, Lawmatics will save that information on their matter, and any other time you create a form or a document off of that, it will auto-populate with the data that's already in there. You can then edit it from there, but you don't have to re-enter a lot of the data. The other thing I really like is Lawmatics does a ton of this off of conditional language. So if this, then ask this question. So for example, if the person who calls isn't going to be the client, maybe they're calling on behalf of a business, maybe they're calling on behalf of somebody who's in jail, but I'm not going to ask for secondary contact unless we have to. And then as you can see, for different areas of practice, we can ask for different questions. So for traffic violations, we have it set up where we can send an invoice immediately right there. But then for, let's say, civil litigation cases, it alerts the staff that we don't want to take cases where there's less than $10,000 in controversy. But then for criminal defense cases, we want to talk about prior history and get the circuit number. So whatever fields you want, you can ask different questions based on different practice areas and information there. We also collect where it came from. So you can create a drop-down list of all different sources. You can even break this down into, instead of internet, you can break it down into Google versus Facebook. You can break it down into individual ads. You can run different campaigns off of different sources, and I'll show you a little bit more of that functionality. But we try to collect that data here at the very beginning and then confirm it later. Info about the case, same thing, some more information about other people, other parties, whatever it is along those lines. For conflict checks, The biggest thing that you can't do on an external form, so something that you can't do on a form that is accessible to anybody, you cannot book an appointment in it. It has to be an internal form. So my office can be on the phone with them right there, take all that information, and then schedule a consultation. You've got a couple options here where you can run, we have it running as two different appointment types, initial consultation versus initial consultation phone. The other option would be to run that as different locations. However, I'll show you why we do it this way in a minute, and then you can do, sending a calendar invite to them based upon the email, start date, whatever. And then a question that I always suggest people add to any intake form for the initial stuff is, do you have any other ongoing legal matters? If so, who's representing you and what is it? You would be so shocked by the answers that we've gotten that were things that were essential to the case they wanted to hire us on, but for whatever reason did not think to tell us that there was a pending divorce while we're trying to protect their business, or something along those lines. So I'd highly suggest, if you take nothing else from this video, have your staff ask about other matters just so you can give the best advice from there. And so this is an internal form. Once it gets submitted, that's going to put the person in the pipeline, and we'll get to the pipeline in a second. But before that, I want to show the marketing settings. So we're talking about people that sent us cases. So Lawmatics will show the total number they've sent and the number that have hired. Same thing for social media, internet, events, other, and you can do, for internet, you can do a new campaign. So you can make it as in-depth as Google ad A, Google ad call us now, Facebook ad B, Facebook ad opt-in, whatever it is that you want. And then you can do UTMs to track it. So we do, for a lot of people that have already existing campaigns, we'll set up an additional way to try and catch it in there. The other thing I like is you can enter costs right in there. You can change the date and how much you spent, and then it'll run ROI and whatnot from there. So by getting all that data at the beginning, it's duplicated here. Just like everything else, all this is custom. Referrals is the only one that's hardwired into the system. The rest of them we created. So whatever you're doing for marketing, we can put in there as an event, as a source, and then as different campaigns as you do it. So for different events, for different speaking engagements, for different ad campaigns, whatever it is. And then I'll show you later where you can track everything all in one shot from all those things. So once that's done, like I said, it goes into the pipeline. And again, totally customizable. You can do multiple pipelines. You can change the number, you can change the colors, you can do a lot of what you want here. But basically, this is the standard one that we're doing on our build outs. So we've got the 5 stages that pretty much every law firm is going to use for their clients. So lead no contact, this is going to be before a consult is booked. So either they call the office but can't set a consult, or maybe they fill out a form on your website, or maybe they reach out to you through social media. And so what we have in here is we'll run an automation that will do 3 to 5 emails on a drip campaign over whatever time frame you want, as well as some text messages to the clients or potential clients, reaching out to them, hey, set a consultation with us, the consult's free, or the consult costs this, or make sure you pay here. We can do scheduling links so they can just click and book it right through the computer still in Lawmatics. And Lawmatics has a newer feature they've added where you can do those scheduling links based upon blocks. So if they're going to book a consultation with you, you can set it up so it only allows that to be on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so that only allows that to be between 1 and 3 o'clock, so that it only allows it to be whatever it is, as long as your calendar is open, so that you prevent double bookings. Then we have the consult pending stage. So that's going to be when the consult is booked before it happens. And so we send a confirmation email and text, can email and text them, a couple hours before. If it's an office consultation, sends the address to them, gives them a link where they can click to pull it up in Google Maps or whatever it is on their phone to go there. If they no-show for consultation, we do a short drip campaign, maybe 1 to 2 emails or 1 to 2 texts. Hey, so that you missed the consult, hope everything's okay, click here to reschedule or call our office to reschedule. Then after the consultation, we have the get client to hire stage, and so this is another series of emails and text messages about why they should hire you and your firm, what sets you all apart. We usually share some prior reviews from happy clients, awards you've won, those kind of things in the whole drip campaign. And then when they're hired, they go over here. We can sync it to Practice Panther or Clio or Rocket Matters. You can also run other drips off once the client has hired. On our standard build out, we're just getting it to that stage. We're not running drip campaigns after that, but we do that for clients on a custom basis. And again, if your intake process is different, if you do a 15-minute phone call first and then see if you need to schedule them for an in-person consultation, or if there's documents you need from them before the consult for estate planning or whatnot, we can build all those things into the system to make it easier and as in-depth as you need it to be. The other thing I like is I like to make this as granular as possible, to put as many stages as possible, because you can run automation off of each individual stage. You can run automation off of each form being built out. You can run off automation off of any field, any custom field having a certain data point or not having a data point, or whatever it is along those lines. But what I do like is when a case goes to hired or goes to lost, it'll disappear from this pipeline. But if you click show all matters up here, it'll show you everything. So like we know for our firm, our overall conversion rate is going to be in the low 40s, but from get client to hired, we close about 2/3 of cases that get there, because I can see where they die here, the number that have died there versus no show for consult versus a pending consult. The other thing, if you see here, you've got expected value and total value. Total value, you're going to have to enter into the system. However, expected value, Lawmatics is going to automatically run after a certain number of cases have come through. So for us, whatever that total value is, it's going to run about 66% for expected value. So if you're entering data over here, we may only close 33% of cases that are in the consult stage. We may close 10% of no-show for consults, but if we're closing 66% of get client to hire, it'll update expected value based upon total value in each one, cross-referenced by close rate, again, all automatically. So that gives you an idea that you may have, $20,000 in expected value coming in, or $2,000 or $100,000, whatever it is, through there. And obviously that's not going to be perfect for personal injury or contingency fee cases. It'll be better for flat fee or at least hourly on the down payment, but it gives you an idea of some of those things. So then as we get into showing you an actual automation, now obviously it's going to be difficult to see, but you don't really have to see what's going on. As long as you can see the colors, that'll be sufficient. So basically the entry condition, anything that gets to that stage, get client to hire. The yellows are if-thens, so it's if it's a personal injury case, and then if they've already signed a contract somewhere else or in person, and then that's going to run off of this. So for personal injury, if there's a co-counsel, it's going to send a different contract. For if they've already signed a contract, it'll send it or not. For personal injury, it's not going to send an invoice. Otherwise, it is going to send an invoice, and that's through LawPay. So Lawmatics doesn't process itself, but it will integrate with LawPay to send an automatic invoice all through the system. Then the blues are delays. You can delay stuff by seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years, whatever it is, whatever you want to set. And then the purple ones are emails. I'll show you the email form in a little bit. The gray ones are tasks for us to call. The red ones are text messages. And you can do merged fields on text messages and emails. So that means every text message can say, hey, it'll insert their first name, comma, you called us about. It'll insert their matter. Whenever you get a chance, give us a call back or sign the contract. Whatever you want it to say, you can do that in the emails and in the text messages, and it will run those all automatically. So if somebody goes into our system and after their consult, it's a case that we want to take, and they get in this field, they're getting every one of those purple points of contact and every one of those red points of contact automatically, consistently, at the same time breaks, at the same delays, with the same stuff for everybody. The only thing that's different is obviously the gray calls. It'll set a task. So up here under CRM tasks, it'll assign that task to whomever you decide you want it assigned to. For us, we have a dedicated intake person. And so then they know to call when that task pops up. Then what we do is the brown ones are change attributes. So what we have is at the end of this, it changes them to lost. So that triggers for the system that after 30, 35 days in this chain, if they haven't gotten back to us, if they haven't hired, if they haven't said anything else, it's going to send them to lost, which will then stop them from running on the campaign. Also, you have other exit conditions. So if they do hire, or if their stage is no longer this one, it'll kill that automation. So if this person gets this email and goes, oh yeah, I just got paid, I want to hire that person, signs up right then and there, it'll kill the automation immediately, and then they won't have to get the rest of those drips after they've already hired. The next thing I want to show, this is the email. And so basically the emails work off of templates. So you can see, delivery rates for emails. You can see how many people opened it, the click rate, the bounce rate, and if it's promotional or not. You can actually click right here and it will show you each person it went to by name and whether or not they did it. But again, mostly running off a template. So for example, we send a newsletter about every month. Oh, actually, I have it pulled up here. And so this is the template every time. So we have the same header and the same footer on all of our emails. And all you have to do is just go in here and edit the data like it's in Microsoft Word and swap in, new tools and tricks. You can do merge tags in the newsletter as well. Swapping out the video, that stuff. You can drag files into here. So if you've got, we'll do things in October about the different pumpkin patches, or, now we've had some stuff about different, testing sites and whatnot. You can drag those files right through here. Testimonials, reviews, whatever you want, whatever images, they can be swapped out, and then you can do the layouts. However, you can do 1 across, 2 across this way, a little bit closer, even, going the other way, 3, 4, and then you just drag and drop text into those breakdowns, images, links, whatever you need. So a lot of times we'll set up a newsletter template and then you all will take it from there. The next thing I want to show, this is the contract. So for my firm, we put a contract together that it's one contract that will cover any type of case. So if it's a contingency fee case, if it's an hourly case, if it's a retainer case, if it's a flat fee case, it'll all run off the same contract because, again, it's working off conditional language. So right off the bat, if there's a case number or accounting information, it'll change the top part. If it's an hourly case, it'll run this part, and then it'll fill in hourly rate, non-refundable intake, retainer fee, the payment amounts, the hourly per hour, flat fee, the estimated value, the down payment, etc., contingency fee, the contingency fee breakdowns, all of that in one contract, again, based off of conditional fields, and again, based off of the ability to edit with clicking the pencil, and up comes basically Microsoft Word. So don't be aggravated if Lawmatics is overwhelming to you. I totally get that. It can be very overwhelming. We have spent hundreds of hours building it out for ourselves, building it out for other people, but the nice thing is once it is set up, as long as we show you where everything is, editing, if something changes, if something comes up, whatever it is along those lines, it's really easy to go in and edit it and change it from there. And remember, that contract is going to get sent out automatically, and based upon the data you already collected, it's going to decide what custom fields you have in there. The only thing that we will not do is we will not write the contract for you, because that would be the practice of law. If you don't have a contract, there are plenty of attorneys that would write a contract for you or share one with you, but we will obviously integrate it into Lawmatics for you as part of our build out, so it's ready to go. All right, the next thing I'm going to show you, this is analytics from one of our clients. And so you get a little bit better idea here. So you've got the overall PNCs, the number who've hired. So based upon those numbers, 42%. The conversion rates are usually going to be a little bit lower than normal for people, because anytime you create a matter, it's going to count against that conversion rate until they hire. So any open matter is going to count against it. And then if you do test matters and you don't delete them, that's going to count against it. We create matters for lunches for people, for podcasts for people, and we don't have those set to hire. We just leave them in there. So the number is not going to be perfect, but it'll give you a nice overview. The other thing I like is you can do the overview by different practice areas. So you can see we have a bunch of different practice areas here to get an idea as to hiring rate. And then you can also do it by hired versus lost versus potential new clients. You can do it by overall conversion rate where they close. So, personal injury, expungement, closing at a much higher rate. Family law cases closing at a much lower rate, etc. You can also then cross-reference that by source. So internet, so other cases, referral cases, much higher rate. Internet, social media, much lower rate. And the same goes for looking at it that way. So then you've got the matter volumes over time by years, and obviously once we have the program set up for you, you're not going to have the prior years to go through it, but when you get there, you can see numbers as it relates to growth and whatnot. This is why I have the thing set up as different events. So basically, based upon like an initial consultation, you can see the conversion rate on anything set for that event is 35.44%. Whereas if you do it on the phone consults, you can check it here being under 30%. And so obviously that means if the overall conversion rate is 42%, there's a decent amount of people hiring without being set for a consult. Either they'll hire immediately on the phone, or they'll get on the phone with the attorney immediately, something along those lines. But by running those events differently, as opposed to just running them in different locations, you can track phone consults versus Zoom meeting consults versus in-person consults, whatever it is that you want as it relates to close rate. And then you can see kind of a one-shot overview of everything in here. And again, this is somebody who's not doing any ad spend, but is generating, a decent amount of value based upon some of the other stuff. So then the last thing I want to talk to you about is reporting. And so I pulled up our firm's reporting. I'm not going to go into it in more detail because it'll show you client information. But basically, you can create whatever custom reports you want. And you can run that off of any field, standard or custom. So you can, if you need to know what stage they're in, you can run every case that's in that stage, or you can run every case and see what stage everyone is in. You can run every case that is hired, that was referred to you by a builder in 2020. You can run, whatever custom fields you want. You can cross-reference, you can filter, you can create custom fields just for the purpose of running better reports from it. You can do all sorts of things with this, fully custom, and then it'll export as a CSV, so comma separated value, so you can import it into Excel, you can send it in emails, whatever it is along those lines. So I found that for us, like we do a hired client one every month. It takes me some time. There's some editing that needs to go into it, but if we have 50 clients hire over the course of a month, it might take me 15 minutes to edit some data. They entered somebody's name incorrectly. We didn't copy over who had sent it in somewhere else, things like that. But at the end of the day, you have access to a ton of data to run a bunch of reports. So again, this is Lawmatics from that 10,000 foot viewpoint. There's going to be a lot more, it'll make a lot more sense as we get into it and as you walk your firm through it and figure out exactly what you need. But this gives you a nice little, 20, 25 minute overview of a lot of the functionality involved in this program. That's why I highly recommend it, just because you can do the intake in the same place as the automation, in the same place as newsletters, in the same place as case tracking, in the same place as reporting features, all that in one place. And it's, again, overwhelming at the beginning, but relatively simple once it's in there. If you have any questions at all, please shoot me an email, jordan@legaleasemarketing.com, LEGALEASE marketing.com. So not ESE, but EASE, because the entire name of our business is a hopefully hilarious dad joke, if not a bad dad joke, but that's who we are. Thank you so much for watching this video. And again, if there's anything we can do for you, let us know. Otherwise, we'll be in touch for the next step of your consultation. Have a great day.